Hi, my name is Marinette. This is a whiteboard challenge that I'm doing solo and remotely. To start off with, I'm going to just quickly read through the challenge and then I'm going to time myself and do this in 30 minutes. I'm going to aim for that. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the challenge is we invented time travel. We invented an app that is easy to download into your smartphone or smartwatch. It allows you to travel to any time in the past or future, but we are having trouble designing the interface. Now, the considerations are as follows. Our time machine can send users to any year, day, hour, minute, and place on Earth, so the interface needs to allow them to make those selections. We've had problems with audio-only activation. Users didn't phrase instructions correctly and ended up in the middle of revolutions or volcanoes. Our time machine needs a visual interface that eliminates mistakes. Most of our users are pretty ignorant about history. We want an assist feature to help users pick a fun time in the future or past to visit. We've lost a few users because they arrived at a bad time in history. Example, the SF earthquake or in the middle of a hurricane. Help them avoid dangerous times and weather systems. Speaking of weather, they'll need to know how to dress for their arrival time and place. Our business model involves steering users to particular events in history and then selling the information to time travel agencies, meet them there and try to sell them tour packages. Can you help with some methods for encouraging users to visit a list of featured times in history that we're promoting? Okay, so now these are all stuff. I've read this challenge a few days earlier. I started with thinking about it, but I've tried to not think too much to avoid having too much ideas already formed that I'm going to put down. So this is ideas I've brewed over, and I want to actually actively do this whiteboard challenge as an interview, so that there is that example. Okay, so I've written down a few things. I'm just going to, my structure here, I hope you can see as much as possible, is challenge, users, story, and wireframes. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible since I am doing that. Now, I'm going to start my time and 3 minutes on the clock. Righto. So, first of all, the challenge. Challenge is there's already an app, but it is not really working well. So, so they would be able to do that on a phone, smartphone, or a watch, the interface. So it's basically redoing the interface. Can send to any time, so it's time travel. Can send to any time or date. So I'm thinking of calling that an event because an event can encompass any time, date, location. Okay, so let's do that. Let's say event equals time, date, and place. Right, so they can go to any event. They have problems with an audio-only activation, so we really need to try to avoid any audio stuff. So audio is a no-go for me. It just, when there's any noise, let's just eliminate that from the start. Okay, assist feature to pick fun event. Oh, okay. So they need to have like a pre-existing event that's fun that people can choose from. And then warning about event circumstances. Okay. Warnings about, let's say, yeah, circumstances. later. Any dress recommendations? And these are all just the structure or the challenge that I've summarized a bit to just give myself some pointers. And to promote certain units. Way to do that. Okay, so now firstly, let's think about the users. People who have used this app before, so there's already an existing client base. As I said, some of the users have done this before. So I am assuming that the users are paying also for this app, so they would probably be adults or people with families that's going on holiday for time traveling. So it's actually quite a wide variety of people. So let's say, let's go with an example of it's Susan. Susan is a working adult of 35. Okay, Susan is a what do you like to be? Well, I'd like to. Oh, teachers would actually be a very good idea. Good example of people that would like to go to events in time and maybe take their classes with or not. That would actually be very, very substantial. So let's say Susan is a teacher and she teaches a class of grade 4s. So let's say, I can't remember, 10-year-olds. And there's, let's say, 30 pupils in a class, 10-year-olds. Okay. Cool. So we have our user. It's only one of many users. It's also a bit more specified to just look at the specific use case for somebody that has an adult with an accompaniment of children. Maybe we can also add something like constraints that says if there's this many children, you need this many adults to oversee some of them. Let's say 5 children per 1 adult, something like that. But that's an idea. We can we don't have to focus on that right now. Okay, so let's start. So again, the challenge is to redesign the interface. I don't know what the interface currently looks like since this is just a made-up challenge. But I have started thinking about what I'd like it to have. Just an idea of what the features should be and can be like when we think about the challenge itself. So I'm going to make a lot of assumptions and just go from there since I don't have somebody to actually talk to or ask me. No, let's do this. Okay, so so Susan is teaching for 10-year-olds and she's looking at, she's opening the app. She wants to start thinking about a class trip, okay? Class trip ideas. And she opens the app and what does she see? What is she looking for? She's looking for places that is safe. So maybe ratings on events with ratings. So maybe that should be able to order, filter. Maybe she's looking at a certain year. So I think, or categories. So let's say events have different categories. Something like So just to have a bit of an idea of what type of event you are looking for. Is it American history, like American history? I'm currently living in South Africa, so I don't know a lot about that except maybe Civil War. So maybe world history of, let's say, well, any history. I think we can also classify maybe natural disasters. Well, there would be a lot of them. Okay, so just a few ideas. And that will also tie in with the ratings of the safety ratings, and maybe even something like other users' experiences. And like a type of recommendations. Okay. So we have, she is looking at these. Maybe she wants to see what it looks like there. A quick photo of the place. She opens the app and she sees these things. Okay. She obviously wants to read more information about each event. Photo and info, all these ratings. And then a big thing that they also said is that you can actually choose any place. So she'll probably see something like a date counter. Um, Something that we can also do is having, let's say, a randomizer. So if you don't know what you're looking for, so okay, let's say a date counter or an event counter where you can choose the which date, time, and place you want to go to. Plus, obviously, the big button that says travel here. But the moment that you input in the event counter, you would see information about the specific event, which would include all of these previous things. The safety rating, the user's experience, category, the photo info of the specific time and date. Okay, so the event counter would need to be very clear. Maybe this is not part of the story, it's more part of what's required. But it's everything is always interconnected somehow. Okay, event counter, it needs to be clear and concise what you're choosing. Not obviously voice activated or anything like that. So we are really just focusing on that. Maybe later thinking about. Currently, I'm assuming again that this is built in English, which is a very universal language. But later it would be good to have something like a translating type of thing. Okay. Event counter, and then maybe something later on would be cool. Randomize when you don't know where you want to go or what you want to see. Okay. So what I'm also thinking of, this would be good to have as an app on your smartphone, obviously. I have no idea what the technology otherwise is. I'm very, very curious about this. I like the idea of this. Okay, so let's assume that you can connect your smartphone with your smartwatch. So it would also be need to think about for wireframes about the interface of, let's say you want to leave your phone at home, and then, well, you would want to go there with your watch and come back with your watch. I'm going to leave that for now until we get there. Okay, so we have Susan for this use case, who is a teacher and looking for places to take her 10-year-old class of the students on a class trip. Now, a few other things that would be good to see is, well, we've got the safety rating, we've got the categories. Safety rating would probably be also kind of types of labels that says this place is, the climate and the weather is like this at this current point. So let's add that here. So weather, and then recommendations on dress code. Recommendations, just because I think these two will tie in very well. If it's a time period, let's say for the Renaissance period, you'd want to have a bit of a modesty so that maybe somebody can see you. That's another question. Can people see you? But this is more a science question. Can people see you? You'll probably need to focus on not interfering with them. Maybe something like rules or tips. Tips about the event and the circumstances around that. Just when I'm thinking off the top of my head now. Okay, and then lastly, we'll promote certain events, certain that can be a bit more like featured, and thinking about featured, how we can do that is adding stars or placing them at the very top of the screen. So the moment that you, let's say, enter and you have used the app before, it's going to show you, we recommend these events, and then obviously if there's a cost involved, etc. Maybe some incentive to get people to do this, to click on the promoted event, is to have maybe a gamification system that we can, they get points for every certain event that they have to go to, for any promoted event, and then they can use these points to, again, travel, like a type of monetary system, or discount, whichever way, that's the idea. But the challenge for this time is not to ideate too much, but rather to have an interface, because the interface is how the people will interact. And I actually like drawing interfaces. All right, so let's start. We have two things that I have to consider, which is the phone and the watch. I'm going to focus on the watch for now, only for this specific use case. But there's also in Compulses a lot of other users that, let's say, it's just also scrolling. So let's go with this. Okay, wireframes. I'm going to go with that. So let's say this user, Susan, is she's starting now and she wants to see costume ideas. So what does she see when she, let's say she's a total new user, she heard about this app, and then she wants to, okay, then she wants to view ideas. So she's going to download the app, open it. It's going to have, I think, for a start, it's a very good idea to have a few different steps and suggestions of what this app is, how it works, or read more on how it works, and also how to interact with the interface. So let's say we start off with, it's kind of a little bit of a welcome screen, which is a tour screen, and let's think about this. So we have like the logo of the company, and say welcome, maybe a little bit of illustration, and then a few different steps about this. Steps like, we're going to figure out what the steps are. Let's go. Next. Okay, so she reads through this, she's like, okay, or she skips it. Okay, so skip. there. If you can't exactly see what's going on here, I will capture this again and place it in the same spot where this video is. Okay. So, interface. Main features that we're going to want to see is event. That is promoted. Events that's fun. Maybe a bit of a filter for events, like a list. Navigation is, you'll probably need to have you'll probably need an account. So your account, and what's going on there. An account, we can have your basic stuff. I mean, what would an app need for you to use it? Basic stuff. It's say just your email, your phone number, maybe a place to connect with your watch or any other stuff that you want to. For this thing, I think there would also be a very good idea is if your child is going with somebody else, to have this app and then to be able to see the whereabouts of your child via a tracker of some kind, like their watch. But that is a bit higher level, another idea. Let's focus on wireframes. Okay, so we have an account, we have, which is basically all of these things can be on the homepage. Also think that after you've been in the first time, it will show kind of like a pop-up of, let's say, the promoted event of the week, whatever. Whenever you log in after your first time and seeing the tour, I would not ideally put a tour and a promoted event pop-up at the same time. It's not very user fun. Okay, so we have fun events, we have filter the events. In each event has, let's go, event. Each event has obviously, a date, time. So it has a time, a date, and a place, like a GPS location. As well as, let's say, place can have, say it's exact address, like a Google Maps address, the street location, and the country. Okay, each event also has a photo. If there is description, maybe a description of what is going on, specifically for fun events, that is historically relevant, which Susan would be looking for, obviously, as well as some safety rating, which we said first of all. These are all things that we can, let's do this, stuff we can filter accordingly. Filter is, you can filter your date and time. First of all, we need your event counter, which is actually the first thing that you should be seeing after. So let's say I'm going to stick with. No, let's go with a which interface can we do? I'm thinking of different design systems that I've done recently and have looked at. I really prefer using material design. So for the interest of finishing within 8 minutes, let's go with the basic stuff. We have a very basic header here with the logo, the menu, and we'll talk about the menu here. It's just a basic plain slide out menu for now, else it's get over, and then we can decide what's going on in the menu. Okay, so what I'm seeing is you will have your of event. They obviously want to event counter type of idea. So what way can we add? We need time, which is during the day. Let's say it's block here, and then a very big, let's say, travel. Yeah, so you're going to need a place where you can choose the time. The just thinking in silence about all the warnings that we need to add. So if somebody maybe chooses this, they're going to have to choose this at certain places, and then it's going to need to tell them, okay, you have chosen this. So let's say not travel immediately. Let's say view. Okay. View. Okay, so we're going to have input the time, which is 0000. The date, which is 10 October 1988. And then lastly, we're going to need a place. So we're going to have to search for a certain place. So it'd be good if we could just utilize Google Maps, because Google Maps or even any other search systems would be good. But then you can add your address there. Then you can say view. It's going to bring you to this screen, which is a pop-up. So it's just a pop-up, else it's, I don't want to move too far away. So then it's going to have the event. Close it, and a very big button that says travel. Another thing that we probably need to do, very first thing, is when we are there and we are actually taking the phone, let's do this. Picture of the place if it's there, and all the different information that we actually have here. That can be going to have, if it's promoted, we're going to maybe have a little star here. Star, terrible star. And information also in warnings about this. If you do, maybe like a bit of a disclaimer that says check here to say I understand about the warnings. Details maybe in the panel form where you can open and close them. That's kind of the quickest. And when you are there, it shows you exactly that. You are in kind of a lockdown, you can't travel anywhere. Well, maybe you should be able to travel somewhere else. That's the question. Can you travel from a different place back to, can you only travel to your time, or can you travel to any other place from there? Anyway, for this purpose, let's just say that. And then we're going to have a section here. I'm going to just travel. I'm jumping around a bit because I'm trying to finish this in time, which is probably not going to happen, but it'll be sufficient for now. Okay, so you're probably going to see the same thing when you do travel, is your current, where you are in your current time. Okay, and then your current stuff. Then you probably have something like a back right now, or new. Okay, new would probably bring up exactly the same idea. Maybe something like a help, if there's a help function. If you scroll down, it's going to be promoted first, so they're going to be little blocks that you can scroll through, like a little slider, promoted with stars, and then maybe saying something like a title for each one of them. I think a title would be a good idea. It's the most basic, if there's a title. So let's say the Second World War, the bombing of Hiroshima, something. I don't know exactly where you want to be with that, but again, obviously all this information will be there. Again, all of the, and then, jumping around here. Next would be, I think a good idea would be to have a filter, but to have the fun search, and there's going to be a bit of a drop down. It opens, or you click on certain icons to view certain stuff, like choose the time, choose the photo, not the photo, the title, that would be searchable, the description would be searchable, the rating, the categories, as well as the dress code. This would be a good thing to have just for the basic idea of, should I take, is there a rain prediction, or should I take snow jackets, or whichever. I think describing the weather goes with the dress code. So we would that's basically that. So I think with that, it's less than 1 minute to go. That is basically what I would have done. I would like to go more into the watch idea, and just having, let's say, a back. Maybe that's a good thing to note is you have your very small your date and time, your current stuff, as well as a very big back button. So that the constraint is that you can't move from your watch to a new time. You would have to go back, but if you take your phone, you can actually make a new one. Yeah, that would be basically it. Account, again, load balance, stuff like that. And that is time. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I really would love to see something like this one day. That is my whiteboard challenge. I do apologize if it was a bit random. This is the first time I've done one of these. I would have liked somebody to actually guide me through this, as in talk with me about, oh yes, they like that, or they don't like that. Again, this is also a very broad or very focused thing that I wanted to do, specifically just focusing on the challenge users in the wireframes, because the wireframe was for me for this important, because it did say the visual interface needed to be figured out. So I needed to just talk through this and see where I got. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for your time.